Hello everyone, so we are trying to catch up with Path of Exile, and this video is actually going to be is the hardest one to make for me, because the thing is, the first thing to talk about was the shops, right? We did a video on them and that was simple. Now I want to talk to you about the changes that we had in patch 03. I have noted down 10 of them in no particular order, and I'm going to be discussing them. So abyssal mechanic will not be part of the video because that is the seasonal mechanic and that is going away. Maybe I'll do some videos on it later on, but whatever I say will only be valid for like up to 2 months, maybe, right? If the new season is going to arrive at the beginning of 2026, we'll see. Maybe I'll do some videos, and it's actually deserving of a videos because there can be some good money made from using the seasonal mechanic. But let's just talk about eternal things, right? And of course, like I said in a previous video, just like in Path of Exile 1, uh, the Abyss mechanic could be added to the game permanently on a weaker basis. Maybe it will be a rare spawn or something, but let's just for the time being focus on what we have. So guys, first major change is the waystones, right? Because in the waystones we used to have rare monsters, increased rarity, that there were modifiers on the map, right? They were modifiers on the map. And right now, let me find something with full modifiers. And as you can see, now we have all negative modifiers, and they do give the map some sort of bonus thingies. Take a look at this: 10% pack size, 60%, 66% magic monsters, rare monsters, item rarity. So now they are part of those suffixes as the old mechanic goes. So this is of course another thing for us to learn. This is a little bit annoying. You have to recognize what is giving what if you want to fully familiarize yourself, and I think that's a little bit too much of an effort. But I think it's wise to learn the desecrated abyss modifiers if you plan on playing this season, because those give more than what all the regular modifiers do. For example, guys, if a regular modifier can give like I don't know, 15% or maybe 20% uh, based on drop chance to a map at best, an abyssal modifier can give like 40%. So if you want to do that based on drop thingy, right, you have to know which one it is, right? Same goes for rarity, same goes for pack size. The regular affixes on the map cannot give as much as the abyssal modifier. I mean, let me just uh, for a second show you guys here. So this kind of waystone drop chance, as you can see, the desecrated modifier is highlighted in green. Players and their minions deal no damage out of 3 every 10 seconds. That gives a whopping 40% waystone drop chance on its own, right? Nothing in the game gives as much. So if you want to make this kind of map, you actually should be hunting for that players and their minions deal blah blah, right? Kinda have to learn that. So much for not getting into the abyss mechanic, but on maps they are way superior to whatever else exists. So and we have also some new omens to go alongside with these here. So these interact with the chaos orb, and what they do is you activate the omen, right, and you use the chaos orb on it. Then every single modifier on the map will now provide rarity instead, right? And so when I do that, the map will have a rarity somewhere ranging between 100% to 120% or something. Then you can use delirium on it, blah blah, right? Stuff for another video. And we have also the pack size version of it, and we have rare and magic monsters version of it, right? These are those omens. They are not really very expensive. They cost about half a chaos orb, about that size. Okay, I will be doing, I think, another video for the maps, and maps can be very lucrative, guys, because for example it's the season end, it's a little bit dead, right? Path of Exile 1 had a new season, so a lot of the Path of Exile 2 players have migrated to play Path of Exile 1, and the market is quite dead, I might say so, sadly. But one thing that players can't dodge, or two things: tablets and vastons, right? Those always sell if you price them right and if you know how to craft them. So I guess we can take a look at that in another video. At some point, I did make a pretty decent amount of money from selling maps. My highlight is like 50 divines a day or something. But that just happened one day or something. Crazy rich guy came and bought everything, right? Because I could see from the add-on, all of them were bought at the same time. Right? The guy just came and bought my 6, 7 divine maps or something. Yeah, it was pretty crazy. Anyway, let's not get stuck here because I was going to talk about 10 changes. So waystones have been changed, right? And now you can search for that. So for example, you can say, I want a map to be a tier 15, I want it to be non-corrupted, and I want it to have at least 80% increased rare monsters and at least 100% item rarity. You can search for that. And maps are generally being sold with chaos orbs now, but that's not a rule, right? But they are too valuable for exalters, but they are too little value for divine orbs. Mostly their selling is made with chaos orbs. Sometimes if they are valuable annulments. I guess we can also take a second to talk about this. As of season 2, previous season, right, annulment orbs were never very valuable, right? 30 exalted or something. But in this season, crafting has gone insane, right? You can craft items from literally from the scratch. You have extreme amount of control because of all the new omens and whatnot. So annulment is actually very valuable these days. About 400 exalted, maybe. Let me take a look at this. 400 exalted, yeah. And that is about correct, right? Chaos orbs are about 70s or something. 50. Oh, they have. Oh yeah, 50% drop. And divine orbs 1,700, 1,800. It varies, as you know. So that's about that. Anyway, so that's only the first change. Let's talk about another thing. I think I can show you here. So there are exceptional items in the game now. Take a look at this. Normally, guys, this would be a very surprising thing, right? Because take a look at this. It's not corrupted, but it has 3 sockets, right? So we have something called exceptional items now. Exceptional items can drop with either more quality or an extra socket. As far as I can tell, the more quality versions are not really very popular. They are not selling really very well, but the ones with extra sockets are pretty valuable. I mean, for example, eye level 82 Warmonger balls with extra sockets, guys. Yeah, they are like half a mirror, could be even more. Yeah, white item. We are talking about a normal item. 3-second Warmonger ball, exceptional with eye level 82. They are extremely valuable. Maybe they have dropped now a little bit, but that's what they were worth about. The item level plays an extremely important role, as you know, because the thing is, your item's level decides what modifiers it can have and what it cannot have, right? And there are certain unlocks. I think we did talk about this earlier in a rather early video, right? Craftofexile.com will help you there. It shows the minimum. For example, guys, you know the famous and very expensive modifier on bows, bow fire 2 additional arrows, right? So that is, for example, an eye level 82 modifier. You cannot have that on your item unless your item is eye level 82, right? It cannot exist. Let's take a look at mine. Mine is 81, for example. So whatever I did, mine is corrupted, but even if it wasn't corrupted, there was no way that I could give +2 arrows on this board. There's just no way, right? And also the highest tier of physical percentage damage is also eye level 82, right? Take a look at this. Mine is tier 2. As you can see, it's a desegregated modifier, 168%, right? The higher version of that one, as I said, can only exist on eye level 82 items. That's why it's very important. And it's not as important on every slot, right? Because some slots don't have any unlocks at eye level 82, or the stuff that appears there is not really that important, but on weapons it's extremely important, so makes a difference. So exceptional items are the thing. And for example, there is a very popular helmet this season which does make you permanently surrounded, so you can invest in the skill tree for things that give you very powerful bonuses while surrounded. And it's a unique item, so it can have like a limited number of sockets, right? But you find the basic version of it, right? Viper cap or whatever it is, right? And if you find an exceptional version, you can chance it and then corrupt it to have an additional socket, right? Those are really valuable, hundreds of divines. So yeah, so you can hit big money with white items now. Another thing I want to talk to you guys about is the anomaly maps. There is one there. So there are, I think, like 3 of these, maybe 4, 3, I think, though. So one of these is this Estas Zuntis Vault. The general idea is to, and you can, I'm sure, see this visual here. You have to do the neighboring maps, and the neighboring maps will give you access to the map. So for example, for this one, you need to get an idol, right? You get a drop, and you put it on the map screen, and then I think I don't have access right now. But even if I had access, right, without the idol, it doesn't let me in, right? So another one is the mansion in the mist. If I can find one. Yeah, this is, so the name changes, right? When you can access it, the name changes. So this is J Dials. This is very, very popular. There is a very popular support gem. They all drop something very expensive, in the neighborhood of 20 divines. The prices vary, of course. Rakiata drops from this one. J Dials. And there is another, which is pretty annoying. You have to push some wisps around the map into the map so you can access it, but sometimes it makes you go back and forth. So guys, you literally clear every neighboring map but still can't access it. It does something very infuriating in my eyes. So guys, I don't like the map adapted thing. Okay, so when I try a map and I die inside, right, and it goes map attempted, I just want to go back in, and I want to get that nice green thingy out there, right? I don't like the map attempted thing, and it does something very infuriating. So you clear maps around it, and the whimsical map doesn't unlock. So it actually takes a map that you have completed before, and it says map attempted, right? The first time that happened, I couldn't quite comprehend. Imagine, guys, I have a map completed here, right? And it gets turned into map attempted, right? And I was, mindlessly spamming maps at the time. And I'm like, and what I did was, guys, so imagine these 2 maps, right? I was doing this one, and this one was turning into map attempted, right? Then I was doing this one, and then this one was turning into map attempted. It was very infuriating. After like 5 or 6 times, I thought to myself, as I said, I was in a no-brain farming mode, and I thought to myself, I mean, there weren't that many maps around this, right? And then I paid attention, and it was actually, bouncing me between the maps like a yo-yo, right? Bang, 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 bang. I had to do like 9 maps in order to access it, and the crazy in me got triggered, so I did do the maps over and over, right? I was completing one map, and the other map was turning into map attempted, and so on. And I wondered if it was ever gonna end, so I pushed and pushed, and at the end, finally, I was able to do the map. I'm also trying to look for it. Yeah, this is a fail. Yeah, Geonor gets me pretty often. Yeah. Anyway, so there is that map, anomaly maps. The bosses are a little bit more powerful than the normal map bosses, but as I said, they can drop stuff up to 20 divines. What you can do for those maps is, now that we have the tablet change, there is a special unique irradiated tablet. You put it in the map. It's only one use. If you finish the map and the map wasn't irradiated before, it added irradiated. So before the new tablet patch we had, that was working differently. So it was working in a way, when you would complete the map, the irradiation would go away instead of uh, giving it irradiate. Now it works backwards, and now it's only one use. It costs about 1.5 divine or so. The price varies, but it's quite worth it because uh, there is a 15 to 20% chance to get the valuable gems from the bosses, and uh, the valuable gems cost about 20 divine. So yeah, that's that's actually very profitable. So you should do it that way. So for example, you have yourself, I don't know, J dials or something. Yeah. So you put that, and you can do the same thing with citadels. So you put that tablet in, you do put two other tablets, you do the map, you get your drops, and then you can do run the map again, and then you put your levels. Now that's the mention, by the way. Yeah. And you can see the wisp visual here, but don't let this fool you. I mean, it looks like there is only one area with the wisp, right? And I will go to this and the map will out. Nope, no such thing. I will do it, and it will move here, and then it will move here, then it will move here, right? Very whimsical, and it takes a really long while to unlock the map. Pretty annoying. And speaking of the gems, I should also talk about these. These are lineage gems. As you can see here, they have a funny icon. I have so many of these, I was just dumping them. So there are a lot of these, and not all of these are valuable. These are all a few exalted maybe, but then there are some that cost like 20 divines or so. So those maps drops those, uh, can drop those, right? Let me take a look at this. 24, one exalted. As you can see, they are not all that valuable. These are lineage gems, and the gem system has also changed, so you can equip only one of these. And you're now gonna say, I can only equip one of the regular supports as well, right? So the thing is, that's also changed. The support gems now have 5 tiers instead of 3, and you can equip the same support gem as many times as you like. So for example, guys, elemental armament 2, elemental armament 2, right? And I'm a Deadeye, right? I don't elemental armament 2. So, but take a look at this Rigvols first. This is, and as you can tell, probably the visual looks a little bit different. This one puts brain, right? And this one, so this one is one of the expensive ones, Rakyatas Flow. So these are lineage gems, and you can have it. You can have just one on the same character, right? So these are like the old support gems, but they are pretty powerful and do interesting. For example, guys, take a look at this. Whatever resistance they have is treated as inverted. So they have 30 lightning resistance, and that gets converted to negative 30, right? It's insanely powerful. That's why it's valuable. There are a few more valuable ones. So that's that. Splinter mechanic has been introduced. So let me go over this. And you are perfectly familiar with this. And you are also perfectly familiar with this. But there is also an expedition version. Do I have it? I might not have any. Let me show it to you here. Exalted Orb, Expedition, Runic Splitter. Yeah. So the unlocking of the Atlas points have been changed a little bit. And now, as you can see, expeditions have splintered as well now. So how does this go? So guys, Breach and Delirium are exactly the same way. that they used to be, right? You do delirious maps and you get simulacrum thingies drop, right? If the map was already delirious, you will have a, whenever you kill delirious monsters, there is a chance that they drop simulacrum fragments, or if the map had delirium mirror in it, right? You go through the mirror and there is the progress bar that fills. It can go up to tier 7 now, and at the end it will drop some splinters, right? But the runic splinters are new. They can only drop from expedition logbooks, right? And they drop, very scarcely. That's why they were that valuable. So for example, guys, uh, the breach splinters are like, maybe like 3 of them are worth 1 exalted. Let me take a look here. Yeah, 1 exalted is worth 7 of them. That's a little bit bad, but let's take a look at these. Four exalteds are worth 1 of these, and you just saw the expedition ones. They are like worth 20 exalteds. Why? Because you have to go to the expedition logbook. The receiving, for example, guys, breach. I can just put a tablet and do breach, right? I can just put a delirium tablet and do delirium, or I could do the map delirious by myself, right? But if the map has the expedition, you won't be getting any runic splinters. You can get the expedition logbooks from the map, and then you run the expedition logbooks, and then you can get the runic splinters, and you get like maybe 10 of them, right? They are pretty annoying, right? I actually had to buy my way by some runic splinters in order to fill my atlas. Now I wanted to complete the field, so yeah.
Yes.
Where is it? Yeah, there. I had to buy like 200 of those to fill these. The rest were, of course, done by themselves. Okay, so I actually will be doing a separate video for this, but I think this is somewhat important, so I will address this quickly. So guys, let's take a look at the map. And now you remember we gather 2 relics from 2 places in Act 2, and then we put it somewhere. So, and as you can see now, there is an important change there. +1 charm slot. So whatever bonus you select here, right? There are 2 bonuses here. I think 30% charm duration and 30% increased charm charges gained, right? And +1 charm slot is goes for both ways, right? Whatever you choose, you will always have that bonus. And the thing is, that means your belt can have 2 charm slots now. So you don't have to go specifically look for a belt with 3 charm slots. You can accept one with 2 charm slots, right? Only one is bad, and you kind of want to have all of your charms. It's pretty important. So when you're buying a belt, do not specifically look for 3 charm slots. You can accept 2 charm slots as well, because you will be getting 1 from the campaign. I think that was important. So you might notice the changes I'm talking about are varying in size and magnitude, right? Some of them are very important, some of them are less so, but I kind of want to enumerate these. So essences have been tiered now. They were tiered, but I think we had normal and greater. Now we have lesser, normal, greater, and perfect. And now we can use essences on raid items as well. We have a season-specific essence called Essence of the Abyss. And these, again, are not really very expensive. Let's take a look at this. That has actually picked up quite some value. 130 exalted. That's worthless, I think. Okay. And I don't even remember these. We'll take a look at this. No. Yeah. I guess enhancement is the most valuable now. It's being used a lot in crafting. This used to be valuable at some point. Yeah. So as you can see, these are not really very valuable. But yeah. So there is that. So we now have tiers, and the most important thing is we can use. So we remember this one, right? Upgrades a magic into a rare. Now the perfect ones can actually be used on rares, right? That's pretty important. You can use it in some high-level crafting. We now also have a Uber version of the Arbiter. If you recall, guys, on the Atlas 3, Let me just open it again. As you can see, there is no arbiter tree anymore, right? There is the map boss tree and there is no arbiter tree, so there is this. I'm going to talk about that in a second. So let me just open this currency exchange. I have divine orb and I want there it is. So you might remember these are the stuff that makes you fight the arbiter, right? This is from Geonor, this is from the Act 2 boss, and this is from Doriane. You get these, right? You take it to the burning monolith, right? You beat the arbiter, then and then you fill the boss atlas points, and then the passive will unlock this one, right? It does say unallocated, but it is actually allocated, right? Why would it be there? So this auto allocates itself, right? And that means from that point on, Stedas will drop the corrupted version of the thingy. These, yeah, primary calamity for secondary, and these are much more valuable, and they unlock an Uber version of the arbiter, much harder. And be warned though, so you might remember that they removed experience gaining and losing in end game situations, right? So for example, you are level 97 and a half, right? Your experience is very precious to you, so you don't want to do an end game encounter because you might lose XP. And they have removed that. You do not gain or lose XP in those places anymore. But be warned, if you take the fight onto the Uber Arbiter and you die, you are allowed to continue, but you will only be able to beat the regular version and not the Uber version. So just go there when you are prepared, because these cost about 4 divines, I think, total, of course. 4 or 5 divines maybe. Let's take a look at this. 1 divine, that's actually lower than what I expected, okay. Again 1 divine. Okay, the Act 1 will be more expensive because, yeah, the Geonor is annoying. So that's 4 divines, I was correct. It costs approximately 4 divines to get in there. So there is this, it's pretty hard. Yeah. So now we also have currency tiers, right? So some currency has been tiered, as you can tell from this, right? So these have not been tiered, obviously, and these have been tiered. So what does the currency tier mean, right? When I first saw this, I was surprised. I didn't understand what they did. So what they do is, the modifier they add now has a minimum modifier, right? And you can take a look at what level the modifiers have. This is different from the item level, right? This is entirely different. So for example, you could have a very high item level item and you could have like 20-30% physical damage on it, right? That's the efficacy level. And what that does is, what these items do, they all do the same thing, right? Similar thing at the very least. They restrict the affix they add with a minimum level. So for example, if you use a perfect transmutation on something, you are gonna get a magic item with 1 modifier with at least the modifier level of 70, right? So this is of course generally useful, but you have to pay attention. So for example, you want something that's a little bit lower level, and this could bring the chances of that being added to 0, right? You have to pay attention there, but generally it's useful to use these. And how expensive are these? I think this is worth about an exalted, yeah. And this is worth several exalted because this gets used much more. No, it's actually 1 exalted. That's weird. I mean, I did pay like 4 or 5 exalteds for these, I think, at some point. Perfect Regal Orbs are about 20, I think. That's also have fallen down. I remember them. And Perfect Exalt and Perfect Eos are very valuable. These are multiple divines, should be about 2 divines. It's down to 1 divine almost. That's weird. Okay. And this is about like 3 divines or so, 2.5 divines. And you can take a look at here. So the minimum modifier level for transmutation augmentation is 70. For Regal Orbit is 50, and exalted orbs and perfect chaos orbs are 50. So for example, what these can do. So for example, guys, you are adding an attack modifier. There is such a thing now. So the modifiers have tags, right? Craft of Exile is your friend here. If you want to get into crafting, you have to learn those. So for example, if you are adding attack modifier with minimum item level 50, that means you are going to add +3 melee skills to your amulet, right? 100%. So if you use an Exalted Orb, you will most likely get +1, sometimes get +2, and rarely get +3, right? If you use a Greater Exalted Orb, you are gonna get +2 most of the time and rarely +3. But if you use a Perfect Exalted Orb, you are going to get guaranteed +3. Let me show you one amulet I have crafted here, for example, like this, right? And this craft, for example, is mostly guaranteed stuff. Chances of bricking is very small, and even if you brick, you can sell it about for what you crafted for. If you get lucky though, you can get like 3000% return. Yeah, and I'm not exaggerating. You can make it cost about 3 divine and sell it for like maybe 90, but you have to get really lucky, of course. I did have 2 such sales, I think. That's the only item I know how to craft, by the way. The melee amulet. This is for invokers mostly. Anyways, the video is going way too long, so we have talked about support gem tiering, that now they go up to 5 tiers. In the earlier times, I think they are worth picking up, but later on they are not really much worth picking up. I think they are worth about 1 exalt or so. Oh, 4 exalted. So I think this is because of the inflation, right? Because people are getting richer and people do not deign to pick them up, right? And when they don't pick up, and of course there is a constant demand for these because people are making new characters and whatnot. So I guess that's why 4 exalted. That's actually kind of worth picking up, eh? But the add-on could get it wrong at times. Let me see. I have exalted orbs. I want support gem level 5. Oh, good God. Wow. Well, I mean, they are kind of worth picking up. I mean, if you are just starting, definitely worth picking up because that will be a nice stream of income. And late season starting has its benefits, guys. So you won't be able to sell what you are getting most of the time, but you definitely would be able to buy whatever you want because thing is, it's the season's end. People are quitting and people want to liquidate their stuff. Some people just let it go to waste, but some people want to convert it into currency so they can have some more in standard even if they don't play it. So prices are really good for the buyers. For the sellers, it's a nightmare. Stuff hasn't been selling. And the last thing I wanted to talk to you about, that's going to be very short. There is only one item that I don't have here. As you can see, I did get a mirror. That's what I was waiting for. I wanted to grind a mirror, and I want to grind to level 98 for the first time, which I have done in a major wrong way. I guess we can talk about that in another video, talking about how to get to level 100. I think I have figured it out because my level 98 was, I think, a grind that was kind of worse than a regular person grinding to level 100. I did it in a very bad way. I didn't optimize it at all. It can be optimized quite a little bit. Anyway, the last thing I want to talk about is this Hinakora's Lock here. Hinakora's Lock is, I think, from Path of Exile 1. I haven't been playing Path of Exile 1 in a long time, but I think it exists there. Yeah, so it's about 600 divines worth, and what it does is it shows you what is going to happen when you use an item that randomizes stats. And the most famous example of that is a Vaal Orb, of course, because you can get an additional socket or something. And now we have something else though, which I think I don't have again. So now we have +4 amulets. You can have +4 amulets. Now I'm going to show you just in a second. Okay, so this one, right? Omen of Sanctification. So when you use, I guess I can. Okay. nice. I like the help in this game. I mean, it's a little bit complicated for a starting player, but they have explained everything. So sanctification, guys. What sanctification does is you will use a nomen of sanctification and then divine the item, and then everything on the item will be randomly modified down by 20% or up by 20%. Of course, it's random, right? It can stay exactly the way it is. So imagine you have a 41-sided dice, right? And you roll it, and whatever you get, you add to 79, and you do that for all the modifiers. So, for example, guys, I roll 21. That 79 plus 21 is 100%, so it will remain the way it is, right? Then I rolled 38. That's going to be 117%. So the modifier in question will be amplified by 17%. So here's the deal, though. They made it so that this stuff will allow you to round up and down. So if you are getting like 3.5 somehow, that's going to get rounded up to 4. If you are going to get anything below 2.5 somehow, it will be rounded down to 2, right? So imagine, let's say I have a +3 amulet like this one, right? And I use an omen of sanctification on it. So if I get 117%, 118%, 119%, or 120%, right? What's going to happen? 117 times 117% times 3 becomes 3.51, and 3.51 gets actually rounded up to 4, right? So if I hit 117, 118, 119, or 120%, right, 4 outcomes out of possible 41, right, I will have a +4 projectile skills amulet, right? But if I get anything ranging from 80, 81, 82, or 83%, right, 83 times 3 is 2.49, then it will be rounded down to 2, right? So approximately 10% chance of getting a +4 and approximately 10% chance of getting a +2, right? And it will also modify everything else that is not fractured. Keep that in mind. So now it could give you +4, but if it takes all the crit chance and crit bonus, whatever it is, down, then you are going to not gain that much value. So the chances of you hitting +4 is 10%, and then you also have to pray for the other stats not going down too much, because then you wouldn't be able to create that much value. Inekora's lock can be used on sanctification thingies, and sanctification kind of works like mirroring. After the item has been sanctified, you cannot modify it any further. You cannot corrupt a sanctified item. I don't think you can mirror a sanctified item. I don't think you can sanctify the mirrored item, right? Vice versa. So there is that. Obviously, you can change the sockets, because changing the sockets is actually not modifying the item, right? You are changing what is in the sockets. That's fine. That's doable. So yeah, I think that was not exactly 10 things, but yeah, there we are. These are the major things. And the thing is, guys, these are here to stay, right? I didn't talk about anything seasonal here, right? We did go a little bit into maps and desecrations and whatnot, but these are all permanent changes. So these will be present, unless GGG decides to change something. These are permanent additions to the game. So that's why I want to talk to you about these. Now I can go back to my short bits of information kind of videos, and I will see you in the next video. Bye bye.